Yo, 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 what is up? My fallopian tuber Cesario from the Vario coming back at you with another video for your butt. And I got this Hall of Fame cards, baseball cards, t-shirt in front of me because I'm kind of giving them a shout out because I got both of these cards from there. The owner, Eric Card Shop, my favorite card shop owner of all time. He's a real fan. He's a real collector. He has season tickets. Just a great dude. Not kissing his ass, but just telling it like it is. But anyways, making this video about a card that I just picked up there, and I've told about it before. I was hoping it would still be there. I picked up this Willie Mays there last week, and I was saying, well, they're kind of the same price as the Yastrzemski, but I had a feeling that the Yastrzemski will still be there a week later, and I didn't have confidence that this Willie Mays will still be there a week later. Did I say a year? But anyways, so let me tell you this story about why I got this card. In 1984, back then, me and my dad, he would take me every time to go watch the NBA Finals, every Super Bowl, and every World Series. We were sports fans, and he shared that with us. And in 1984, we were watching at his friend's house, and I remember that house specifically because it was so ghetto, right across the railroad tracks, and the train would pass by, and it was so loud. But anyways, at the end of the game, everybody was going crazy after Kirk Gibson hit his home run. Okay, Kirk Gibson hit the game-winning home run, and it was just like a big thing. He was facing Goose Gossage, the best reliever at the time, and it was just a great battle. It was like, Sparky Anderson, one of the greatest managers of all time. It's all a thinking man's game at that time, and it was badass. So when Kirk Gibson hit his walk-off home run, everybody went crazy. My dad's friend, whose house it was, and I had taken my baseball cards. It was only like a little stack, a tiny little stack. He was like, all right, you collect baseball cards. He's like, I'm going to give you a card, but you got to promise me never to give it away, never to sell it. You're going to keep it forever. And I was like, yeah, I was 10 years old. And he gave me his Carl Yastrzemski rookie. And I promised him I would never get rid of it. I would keep it forever. All right. So, you fast forward that, I don't know, 6 years later probably. My cousin who taught me about baseball cards, we were at a card shop in the mall. Back then, you go to a card shop, a lot of them actually, just like now how they sell Pokemon and Magic, back then they would have stamps and coins. So we went, and my cousin wanted to buy a 85 Topps Mark McGwire and the 86 rated rookie Jose Canseco, which were like the hottest things at the time. And owner was just telling him, like, no, you don't have enough for it. Like, no, nothing I'd want to trade. And then he asked me to look at my pile, and I wasn't there, show off my pile, but every time we'd go to card shows and card shops, I would just take my favorite cards. And I would take this card everywhere with me. So the owner looked at this card, and he says, hey, I'll trade you both of those cards for this card. And I think at that time, I don't know, man, this card was worth like $50, $60 maybe. And the Canseco and the McGwire were going for like 100 each or something like that, if not more. And my cousin was like, dude, do it. And I didn't want to because I given this guy my word, and he's like, man, I'll do it. So I did it. I traded the guy my Carl Yastrzemski that I promised I would never trade or give away or whatever, sell, for an 85 Topps Mark McGwire and the 86 rated rookie Jose Canseco. My cousin was just elated. And I remember the owner of the store, the older man, telling his son that made me that deal, he's like, man, those two boys are on steroids. He's like, once they get caught, those cards are going to drop. I remember hearing that and just, didn't think too much about it, whatever. But I had broken my word and I got rid of this card. So this isn't the actual card that guy gave me. And just a side note, in 91, so it was like a year after I made that trade, I got sentenced to a year in a camp in juvenile hall. I got sentenced to a year. And all they had for magazines were like mainly workout magazines and Sports Illustrated and stuff like that. And I would read a lot of the workout magazines, and they had a steroid division and a natural division. And the steroid division, everybody was huge. And the natural division, they were big. But once you saw the steroid division, they were like, oh, they're not that big. And I used to see Jose Canseco Magar's like, man, that old man was right. These dudes are on steroids. You know what I mean? So I caught on to that like in 1991, where I said, okay, there's a steroid problem in Major League. But anyways, made that deal, you know. Yeah, and I got sentenced to a year, and I think I did like 8-9 months before I got released when I was still a teenager. But anyways, so today I went and I picked up this card. So you might be asking like, well, what's the significance in this card? Okay, well, what happened, I think like in 92 or something like that, my dad told me, hey, we're going to go watch WrestleMania. You know, and I was like all excited. Yeah, he's like, hey, we're gonna go watch it at, remember my friend so and so, and it was a guy who had given me this card. All right, so it was a guy who had given me this card. We're gonna go to his house to watch WrestleMania, and then it hit me like, oh my God, I wonder if he's gonna ask me to see, you know, the card that he gave me if I still have it. And in a panic, you know, my parents were divorced by then, so I went into my mom's boyfriend's wallet and I stole $40. I said, I'm gonna go to a card show and buy this card, you know. And I don't think I saw it, and and I saw this card. All right, so this is, man, like in 91. So, you know, I'm young, I'm dumb, and I bought this card, and I bought this frame. And at the time, in the front was this Willie McGee. And I think this was like $5, you know. So I bought the Willie McGee in this frame, and I took the card that I had bought raw, and I put it in this frame. And I was telling myself in my head, I'm going to tell him, oh yeah, look, I've had it in this frame since the day you gave it to me. I still have it. And think about it, like how dumb I am, like just thinking, like, he's not going to know that he gave me this card, and I'm showing him this card, and I'm just thinking, well, I'm just going to, you know, keep telling him, no, this is the card you gave me. This is the card you gave me, you know, and I was super, super, super worried. So, you know, I put the McGee in the back, and I put this Carl Yastrzemski in the front, you know, thinking he's not going to notice or question it. And luckily, maybe he was just so drunk that day that maybe he never realized he gave me his Yastrzemski rookie. I don't know. I mean, for all I know, you know, he was like my dad. For all I know, he could have been blaming his kids for stealing it, or, you know, or he thinks he sold it one day. I don't know, but he didn't ask me anything about this card that I had with me in my pocket, and I didn't want to show it to him until he asked me, but he never did, so I got away with it. But I always feel bad. Always had that lump in my throat about it, like just feeling sick to my stomach about it, that I didn't keep my word. I remember, like, you know, man, I used to hang around with gang members, and a lot of the fools used to call me, my friend Gordy gave me that name. He's like, I'm going to call you Palabra, dude. He's like, because your word is always good. So some of my gang member friends back then used to call me Palabra. You know, your palabra, criminal. Your palabra. You know, and in the back of my head, I always think to this card, like, man, I'm a scoundrel. You know what I mean? So, you know, even this card right here, I bought it at Hall of Fame Baseball Cards. Man, I'm drinking, so I don't even remember if I said this, but when I went to go buy it, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to redeem myself, and I'm going to buy this card, and think I was going to feel better. And it was priced at $120. So I was like, okay, I'm going to save my money till I have $120. I'm going to come buy it. And then when I went to go buy it, when Eric pulled out the stack, I didn't know it was a stack of them. He had like 4 or 5 of them. So I ended up buying the cheapest one, which this is the cheapest one that he had, the worst condition one. I think I bought it for like 60 or 80. But look at that. Man, this thing looks great to me. So I ended up getting this card from Card Shop Eric. But it didn't make me feel better like I thought it did. So I've already kind of given up. Like, dude, I did what I did. I actually learned from it. You know what I mean? And I try not to break my word. But now I had to come full circle and buy the card that I try to cover my tracks with. You know what I mean? So to say. So that's what this card means to me. You know, and I remember when I was a kid, when I went to the card show to buy this card, and this became one of my favorite cards because I was trying to vindicate myself, and you know, I used to go to church back then a lot, and so I was thinking like Carl Yastrzemski was like saying like, thank you God, thank you God. I always felt it was like a religious thing, like he was like thanking God or looking into the sky, you know, for hope. And it wasn't until like a few years ago when I saw someone making a YouTube video and then they clowned them like, I don't like this card because it's a fake picture where he's looking like he's gonna catch a fly ball, but if you look carefully, you can see the dirt. So he's in the infield. It's a stage shot. I don't like it. And I was like, oh, I think he might be acting like he's catching a fly ball. For like 20 years, I thought he was just like, thank you God, like looking up to the sky. So you know, some of these cards have a big story to them, and so these two cards finally went full round with me, and you know, and I do feel better because for the longest time I used to think like, man, I was such a scoundrel for doing that move, but at the same time I realized that at such a young age I learned a valuable lesson, and I became a better man because of it. You know what I mean? You guys, I mean, I became a Carl Yastrzemski fan. You guys hear me all the time. If you watch my videos, when I pull a Yastrzemski card, I always play this song. Not the song, but I sing it. Oh. I lost it. Hold on. Oh, I gotta find it again. But you always hear me sing the song. It's the song, you know. It's in one of my favorite movies, Fever Pitch. It comes out one of my favorite movies of all time, Fever Pitch. Man, and check about full go around. In 2004, I got offered an internship with the Boston Red Sox to work for the Boston Red Sox in the 2004 season. And I turned it down, and he gave me a reference with the Dodgers, and I ended up getting the Dodger job. But it's crazy because if I would have gone with the Red Sox that year, I would have got a ring, a World Series ring, which has been my ultimate goal in life, period, was to get a World Series ring. That's why I'm a groundskeeper, thinking, hey, the groundskeepers also get a ring. And so I joined the Dodgers thinking I'll get a ring when we win the World Series, and we got it in 2020, and unfortunately we didn't get one because policies have changed. But anyways, Carl Yastrzemski. So shout out, you know, and even this has a story. I guess it's all attached to this. I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but you know, this is a card that I cut out from one of those Price Guide magazines, man, a long time ago, and I replaced the Yastrzemski card and I took it out of here. You know what I mean? I took it out of this frame eventually, and I replaced it with this Mickey Mantle because this was my first Mickey Mantle card I ever got. You know, even though it wasn't a Playing Days card or whatever, this is my first Mickey Mantle. I put it in this frame. And, well, what's the significance behind it? Well, big significance, because when I met my wife at the time, it was my girlfriend, I told her, oh, yeah, this is $1,000 card. And it impressed her. I said it to impress her, and it did, you know. And then eventually she became my fiance, moved in with her. When we lived at her parents' house, this used to be in our headboard of our bed. When we got our own apartment, this was in our living room. And then when I finally bought a house, this has been on my mantle. Coincidence? Well, not my mantle, my bookshelf all these years, you know. And then eventually I put it in my PC. But even the frame that the Yastrzemski came in has a story. So that's what makes the hobby great. That's what makes baseball cards great. There's so much stuff around every card. So really happy I got this card today. It comes full circle. It's a long story. I'm pretty sure not a lot of people didn't stick with it, but thank you, Hall of Fame Baseball Cards, for supplying me with these 2 cards. Man, I think I bought this card like 6-7 years ago. So that's awesome. Love the hobby, people. And just keep collecting baseball cards forever, I say. Ciao!